It's time for the Potawatomi Fire Coaches Corner. Featuring two-time TBL Coach of the Year, Fire Head Coach Mark Dannhoff. With special guest, General Manager David Qualls. And now here's the host of the Coaches Corner, Chris Cox.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another season of the Coaches Corner here on the Potawatomi Fire Broadcast Network as we get set to tip off the 2025 season of Potawatomi Fire basketball, fourth year in the TBL. I'm Chris Cox. I'll be joined later on in the show by two-time TBL Coach of the Year, Mark Dannhoff. First, though, I am joined by the General Manager of the Potawatomi Fire, David Qualls. David, thank you for sitting down with me.
Always a pleasure, Chris. Thank you.
You know, before we look at this year's team, let's look actually back at the end of last season. Fire just became TBL's first ever two-time champion, back-to-back champions, also finished off undefeated, 28-0. How long did you let yourself enjoy that magical season and kind of relish the moment before you dove into preparing for this upcoming season?
It was longer this go around for the second win than it was the first. You know, the first win, it was just so surreal, and I got to thinking we've got to start getting ready for next year. This year, after being our third season under our belt as well, it was just a little more relaxed one. Let's enjoy it. Let's look at what happened. 2 in a row is really hard to do. And to go undefeated, it was really, I felt great for the players. I felt great for the fans and the coach. That it's something that's, everybody uses that term. It was a special moment, and it really was.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think you let yourself kind of, enjoy or sit in that moment a little bit longer?
Well, I've realized it.
Okay.
It was the second go around. So, it didn't catch me off guard that we won. It caught me off guard that we won twice in a row. But I was just able to relax more. You always think, okay, we've won. What do we do now? What do we got to do now? Well, this time, we won again. Okay, let's just enjoy it, and let's see what comes to us.
One thing that you do every year is you look back and you see, okay, what worked or where can we make improvements? So what were some of those areas that you really looked at, maybe off the court or more on the business side, that you wanted to improve coming into this season?
Well, obviously, we want to increase our fan engagement, and we want that entertainment aspect to always be better. What can we do to serve something better in our food service? What can we do to have a better environment? Just little niche things like that. And I look at almost every other team's live streams, and just to get an idea, not so much that I'm watching the game, I'm watching the environment. What do they have? Oh, they have this real neat halftime thing, or, oh, they've got this cool signage here that they're, advertising a sponsor in this location. So I'm always trying to pick up on those little cookies, if you will, to make us better. And then I look at the NBA, I look at tennis, anything that goes on. It gives me an idea of what can we do at Fire Lake Arena to increase this. Then the second side of that is I go back to our sponsors. What can I do to better offer more deliverables to the sponsors, and that makes their investment in us a better asset for them as well?
And one thing that you did to kind of help both with fan engagement and with sponsorships is you hired Micah Thorpe on.
Yes.
She is the new sponsorship and event coordinator for the Potawatomi Fire. She was a Fire girl last year, so she's familiar with the organization, but she's kind of taking on some of those extra duties this year.
It's been really, we're fortunate to have discovered Micah. She was a Fire girl, a school teacher that had just left school teaching to start her full-time wedding planning company. And she had just had a social media post about it. And when she was coming into a game one day, I stopped her and just said, hey, tell me about what you're doing and stuff. And then as the season ended, the light kind of came on that, this girl's involved in event planning and promotions. She's a Fire girl already, knew exactly what she was into. And I literally sent her a text out of the blue and just said, or actually I sent her a social media message. I didn't have her phone number, and said, I would like to visit with you when you have time. And our schedules kind of jumped back and forth, and finally said, I want to talk to you about working for the Fire. And that's where we had a meeting, and I thought, I really need someone to up that in-game activity person to help plan, and then that understood the dance and understood our timeouts and stuff already from being a dancer. And then she had a lot of contacts, with dance groups, and she's formerly in the pageant business as well. So she had a lot of contacts to bring things to us, but then actually have her work with new sponsors and work as a liaison with our existing sponsors. And her personality has just jumped out there. She's great.
One other thing for the fan experience that you're offering this year is some new seating options. The layout inside Fire Lake Arena, especially courtside, it's going to look a little bit different.
Last year on the north side and the south side, we created some riser level courtside seats to where everybody wasn't flat on the floor, but they were 3 sections. This year we've expanded it. It's all one long structure. It's still 3 sections, but we were able to add a few more courtside seats. And the actual table staff came to me last year and said, why don't you put a section right behind the scores table? He said, every other venue has that.
Right.
And I thought, well, do you guys have enough room? And they said, yeah, we have plenty of room. And he said, that just creates more excitement on this side of the room. So we're doing the same thing over here. And we made some offers to our existing lower level reserve seating ticket holders to move on down to courtside. And some of them have taken up on it. Some of them says, I'm not going to jinx our lucky seats. So even our fans are superstitious for our undefeated run and our road to the three-peat. So I think that'll be a lot better. It creates a tighter environment. It's already loud in Fire Lake Arena, but now it gets people closer to the action.
And if people want to look into those seats, maybe buy some season tickets for this season, just call the box office, correct?
Absolutely. Call 405-273-1637.
There we go.
To the box office, or you can go online at PottawatomieFire.com/tickets, and through Stubwire is our ticket agency, and even their operators are more than welcome. And then we will also have single game courtside tickets available too, that if the whole courtside is not sold out, and I don't anticipate all of courtside to sell out with season tickets, but we'll have those and a few select baseline seats that are open. Our sideline seats on the other side have had a waiting list since year one, but of course those are the premium action right in your lap seats.
Exactly.
Just ask Chuck Guy, he'll jump right in your lap.
He might,
or jump over you.
Exactly. Looking on the court now, work on the roster, it never really stops. And that's one thing, that I think you've kind of figured out from year 1 to year 2 and now going into year 4, that you're constantly getting hit up on Instagram, on Facebook from guys, same with Coach Dannhoff. But it seemed pretty early on in the offseason, your first step in building the roster for this year was clear, and that's re-sign the core guys.
Exactly. Everybody that wanted to come back, that we wanted back, those are the guys we got a hold of first. Yes, our DMs and stuff on social media fill up with players. And having said that, if you're a potential player or an agent, send an email to info@PottawatomiFire.com, because trying to reach out to us through social media is not really the way to get a hold of us with any expedience, because it goes through 2 or 3 hands before it gets to us. But we're always looking for that gem. We never ignore a message. We never not look at a piece of film. I know Coach Dannhoff looks at them. I look at them and send them to Coach, and we're always recruiting.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing unique about TBL in general is that, there are guys, you're not just looking for guys who played high-level Division I like most guys go into the G League or the NBA, but we have guys on this roster who played all the way down at the NAIA level, and then guys who played high-level college basketball.
And that's what this league offers, that great opportunity. There's the numbers better than I do. A very small percentage of college players make pro. Very small percentage of high school players make college. Same way here in TBL, there are some hidden gem great players that are playing at that D2 NAIA level that are perfect TBL players. I mean, look at Deshaun Munson, Harris-Stowe University, league MVP his first year. Chuck Guy, Tarleton State, DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year and MVP, and basically those 2 guys are the league franchise. There's not a better backcourt in TBL again this year than those 2 guys. And I'll say that, with a lot of certainty. And I think every other owner and coach in this league will understand that that's not hype. And so that's good. And when you've got 2 guys like that are married to this program because of what it is off the court, in addition to what the fans bring it when they're on the court, it makes it really easy for us to recruit, because everybody wants to play with Chuck and Munson.
Exactly. And then, when you talk about the core, You have Chuck, you have Deshaun Munson. You also re-signed Ricky Artis II, Ja'Kai Simmons, Paul Harrison's back for a third year, and then Jalen Mahone and Isaiah Wade. That's 7 guys from last year's team back in the fold at the beginning of this year.
Absolutely. Those guys understand and know how to win. They know how to win twice.
Yeah.
One of them knows how to win 3 times
Exactly.
towards 4th. And so it's like they're sold to us. And I know for a fact that other teams have offered them a lot more money, but they can't give them what they get here. And this is home to them.
And I think that's one thing that a lot of people maybe misunderstand about the Fire. You know, they think that the Fire just throw money at all these players. But while they get paid, there are opportunities for them to make more money elsewhere, but it's other things that go on around the program that makes this the most attractive spot for them.
Right. There are other teams we know for a fact that pay their players a lot more money.
Right.
But we have a well-balanced budget and a well-balanced crew, and these guys know that we're going to win. We don't have a couple of guys that are superstars that are the big paid guys, because last time I checked, it still takes 5 to play this game.
Yep.
And so you really can't do it all if you put it all into a LeBron and Kobe and have nobody else. So that's the mentality, and that's the business plan of Coach Dannhoff is put the 5 best players that work together on the court for all 48 minutes, and it's my job to secure them and sell them that this is the best plan for them. And our fans do the best job of re-signing our players than I do.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, I don't want to leave there. Man, Miss Johnson or Sally and little Bobby, the ball player, I'm going to lose my friends if I don't come back to Shawnee.
Right.
And so, our fans are a big part of that, which means our sponsors are a big part of it. Because that lets us do things for them.
Right. Getting back to the roster, after getting those 7 guys secured, that core secured, you only had a handful of spots to fill for the rest of this year. And you bring in a couple of vets in Jay Hedgeman, Cam Williams. Both those guys have played in TBL. And then you bring in some big guys that the Fire really haven't had in a few years. And they're a little bit more raw, but you have Boya Koka and Charles Lampton to fill out that roster.
That's right. Are there better players than Jay Hedgeman and Cam Williams in the league? There might be, but those guys caught my eye, and those guys caught Coach Dannhoff's eyes, and we've seen them play. They've played against us, and we know that they fit in this program very well, and they fit right in with the group we've got. Charles Lampton and Boya Koka, the Twin Towers. We got to come up with some names for them, but we call them the 7-footers around here right now. Those guys are hungry lions. They're the young lions. You can see them. Today was the first day of camp, and just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to learn. And putting them with a seasoned veteran that's just down to earth like Paul Harrison is the best experience those guys are going to have in pro basketball at this level. And they are going to turn out to be great players for us because those 3 guys will be cohesive with each other.
And I think, too, one thing that makes those 4 guys unique, it's not just their skill set and how they fit with Chuck and with Munson and Ricky and those guys, but it's also how their personalities fit.
Exactly. And it's really cool to see. I've never been around guys that are from a Cameroon and a Sudan, and so they've got that British accent to them, and very wonderful guys off the court as well. And so it's a breath of fresh air that's not a competitive breath. It's not, I'm here to fight for a spot and be the superstar. I'm just here to be a part of the Fire and contribute what you want me to do, Coach. And that's, I think, what's going to be great out of these guys.
So before we get you out of here, kind of an overarching question. Last year, like we said, it was a magical season. Back-to-back champions, 28-0. Obviously, you want to win that 3rd, but how do you define success going into and out of year 4?
With the highest score at the end of the 4th quarter over the opponent. That's success.
All right.
Our players know what it takes to win. Our new players know what it takes to win. Our fans know that we are expecting to win every game. Coach Dannhoff, I always tease with him, are we going to undefeated this year? And he's like, you're not leaving me much room here, because it's very hard to go undefeated in pro ball. I take it, I hate to use this cliche one day at a time, but every day since they've shown up now, which was yesterday and today, has been a great success. Everybody had a great socialization period yesterday. Physicals went good. Everybody that the new guys and the veterans, it's the first time they've been eye to eye, face to face, and everybody gelled well. Everybody's in their houses and apartments and seemed like to be roommating well. We all ate good last night. They came in this morning and finished the last little bit of business paperwork, and then Coach Dannhoff had them for his first practice. So now they see what that quote culture is here. And so we're defining success one day at a time, but make no mistake about it. We're going after a third championship. And I said something on social media the other day, you big guys line up, you little guys better group up, because we're coming full throttle from day one. And that's what's expected of us by our fans. That's what is expected of us by our players as an organization. They expect me to stay full throttle because I expect them to stay full throttle. And Coach Dannhoff is the best captain of the ship that we could look for. And I think the league has recognized that for the last 2 years in a row as well. So we're going to try. We're going to make a run at it. And it won't be because we give up and quit or our players quit.
All right, David. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I look forward to catching up during the season as well.
Thank you, Chris. I enjoy the show you do every week for our fans and
thank
players. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'll be joined by the two-time TBL Coach of the Year, Mark Dannhoff. This is the Coach's Corner here on the Potawatomi Fire Broadcast Network.
Greetings from Vive Country, your new crazy fast neighbor, now in 16 states. We're thrilled to be your home and business internet, phone, and TV provider. From cutting-edge technology to excuse-free customer service, we're committed to our local communities. We've been working non-stop upgrading and enhancing our fiber-based network that delivers speeds up to 5 gig internet. We believe in faster speeds, community involvement, and 100% customer satisfaction. Join Vive Country today at vivebroadband.com.
After achieving perfection last season, the Potawatomi Fire now look to win a third straight TBL title, and tickets for this historic season are on sale now. Led by a pair of former TBL MVPs and a two-time TBL Coach of the Year, the Potawatomi Fire are guaranteed to excite basketball fans of all ages at family-friendly prices. To purchase your tickets, call the Fire Lake Arena box office or visit PotawatomiFire.com.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner here on the Potawatomi Fire Broadcast Network. I'm Chris Cox, and I'm now joined by two-time TBL Coach of the Year, Mark Dannhoff. And Coach, thanks for sitting down with me for this first Coach's Corner of the new season.
Thank you. It's exciting to be back.
Yeah, you were talking today, and it's kind of weird that it's finally here. It felt like that there's been so much time between that championship and today, but it's back.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, leading into the weekend, Thursday, Friday, the anticipation of the guys coming back, then getting them all here for a really good couple team meetings and a nice meal together, allow them to interact and socialize and really have a good time meeting each other, those that didn't know each other, and then those that have known each other for a long time and competed against each other, but you're not yet played on the same team. So there's been a lot of laughs, there's been a lot of joking around, teasing and everything, but it feels like home, and it feels like the family's back.
Year 3 for you with the Fire. Year 4 overall in TBL, but year 3 here with the Fire. What are you looking forward to most about this season and this iteration of the Potawatomi Fire?
Well, you know, for me, it's always about just working with the guys. You know, we've been very fortunate. We have a loyal group of guys. We have 7 returners. We have some new guys that really fit what we were looking for in terms of completing the roster, and I'm really excited about all of them. We've got great leadership. We've got guys with a large number of experience, but we also got some young guys who can really learn from our vets. But just the opportunity to get back out and work with them, like today, the first practice was a lot of fun, you know, because they love to compete in everything they do, but yet, you know, they still communicate with each other and have fun and enjoy the practice.
When you look at this year's team, you mentioned you bring 7 guys back. How important was it to get guys back in the fold like Chuck and Munson and Ricky and Paul and all 7 of the returners?
Well, I think it's really important. I was telling someone the other day, may have been Commissioner Wiley, how blessed I am and this organization is that we've got such strong loyalty with these guys. Ricky and Chuck and I and Coach Manny, we've been together now going on 4 years.
Yeah.
And some other guys that have, gone on to play elsewhere, we've been together 2 and 3 years. So it's very rare, especially in a league where you're always on 1-year contracts. So we're very blessed in that sense, and very excited that we have developed those types of relationships and put forth a product that these guys would want to return to, either as an organization, as a team, and this is where they want to be, and this is where they like to call home, and that means a lot.
Yeah, and you mentioned that relationship that you have with Chuck and Ricky and Coach Emmanuel Tony. 4th year together, going back to y'all's time in Enid, but like you were saying, that kind of time and that kind of experience just doesn't happen in TBL because guys are moving to different teams, they're going overseas, coaches are leaving. I mean, it's really special to be able to have those guys for now 4 years.
Yeah, as these guys start to get older, priorities change. Their professional lives get mixed in. Now they're getting married, they're having kids. There are things that are going on that kind of change their perspective or what it is they're actually trying to do at this time in their life on their journeys. So they don't always stay in the same place. They tend to move a little bit. They may get out, they may get back in. They just might find a better comfort for them, a better situation for them. But it's just great to have those guys feel like this is family and this is where they want to be. And their family is our family. We're very big on all their wives and girlfriends and fiancés, and their children are always welcome. And, if you play for us, your whole family is a part of us.
Yeah, and I think you add in, along with Chuck and Ricky, guys like Deshaun Munson and Paul Harrison, who you're coaching now for the 3rd year. And that gives you 4 guys who, know exactly what you want to do and can almost tell the guys what you want to do without you even having to say it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's even been going on for a couple years, but it's great when you have guys like Ricky, Paul, Chuck, Deshaun. They'll say, well, this is what he's talking about. This is how we do it. It'll seem odd at first, but you'll see how it all fits in place as we go on, and he continues to teach it. They're like coaches on the floor for me with their experience. They know what I want. They help the younger guys, the guys who are new here. They help them along, and it helps me. It really helps me. And Rick and Chuck, especially 4 years, they really know. And it's that internal leadership. Chuck is a fantastic internal leader, but we've got even more than Chuck, because Chuck is a communicator with the entire team. Paul has an opportunity again this year to lead, especially with our 2 young bigs. And I told them in the meeting last night they'd be silly not to take advantage of Paul over this season to better themselves, learn how to be professional, learn how to work, build that work ethic, and learn how to grow through Paul, because he's one of the best players and post players in the league. So, learn from those guys who've been places and can show you things. And I think those 2 big guys for us are really eager, they're hungry, and they want to learn. So I think they're going to do just that. But Ricky's kind of a silent leader in some sense. And even Deshaun Munson, you don't hear him talk a lot, but when he has opportunities to lead in a little different way, he does that as well.
Yeah. I think Ricky and Chuck, they kind of almost are a little bit good cop, bad cop in a sense, because Chuck can be very intense and obviously they're both very driven, but Chuck might kind of get into guys a little bit more, and then Ricky will kind of pull him under his arm and make him laugh.
Absolutely.
Kind of balance
Rick's going to make you laugh.
Yes, he will.
But the thing about that internal leadership is, we talked about it last night. The best teams are player driven.
Yeah.
And we're definitely player driven, without a question. And it just makes my job easier. Of course, there's times and places and things that happen where I have to really, either step up and get into them about something, and not necessarily anyone in particular, but the team in general. And those guys are also used to that. So when that happens, they're also that pick the other guys up at that time too. So it's really been a great working relationship and family relationship for 4 years with some, 3 years with others.
And I think you look at the guys too that are coming back for their 2nd year with you, Ja'Kai Simmons, Jalen Mahone, and Isaiah Wade. I think, you see a lot of growth between year 1 and year 2. What kind of growth are you expecting to see from them as they now come into this season knowing truly what to expect?
Yeah, there's always a jump, especially, Isaiah came in halfway. Jakai was with us the entire time. So was Jalen, being a rookie, being a draft pick. So he was kind of learning on the fly the same way. But once, I thought by the time we got halfway through the season, Jakai kind of figured out some things and really started to really initiate some of the stuff we saw when we played against him. Became more intentional. He was more assertive, especially throughout the playoffs. Same thing with Isaiah. He had some really big games for us.
Yeah, he did.
And I think he's going to have a good year for us. And if Jalen didn't do the things that he did just by being a professional and an amazing young man and a really good basketball player, we wouldn't have brought him back. And he earned the right to come back, and we're excited to have him. I think he's somebody that nobody really knows much about that can really play.
With those 7 guys coming back, as I talked about with General Manager David Qualls in that first segment, only a handful of holes that y'all really had to fill. What were you looking for specifically in a skill set or in a player type for filling out the rest of the roster?
Yeah, they had to be similar in the sense of their mindset to what we had.
Okay.
And I mean what we do have, the guys who did come back as well. We talked about this last night as well, about we were looking for guys who weren't really obsessed with what the role's going to be, but rather guys who were obsessed with being as good as they can at the role that's given to them. Now, everybody's role changes, and we don't even know what role everybody's going to have at this point. And some guys' role from last year may change on this year. But somebody who's more focused on happy to have a role and going to be the best they can at that role and help us to play at as high a level as we can.
You do have 2 vets in that group of new guys coming in, Jay Hedgeman and Cam Williams. Both of those guys have played in TBL. Both have played overseas and played high-level college basketball as well. What are you expecting from them as they kind of slide into maybe a role that they haven't had to play before?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, both of them have had major impacts on the teams they played for in the past. And because we've played them, and that's what caught our eye, the impact that they had on the teams they played for in the past, whether that be overseas or in the TBL or whatnot. But Hedge has always been a problem for us at times for the last couple of years in TBL. Always loved his game, loved his work ethic. I love the fact that, and he admits it, I'm here to do all the things no one else wants to do, and that's a perfect fit for us, you know. And then Cam, we know he can score the ball. And today I was so impressed, with him defensively as well today, so that's exciting. But he said to me in text message, "Coach, I know you got your core coming back. I'm just looking for an opportunity. I'll be your best cheerleader. I'll fill in wherever you need me. I just want this opportunity to be in your organization and play for you." That got my phone call. So we got to have a conversation and we hit it off, and we knew some people had some people, friends in common, and next thing you know, hey, this guy might be a fit. We do some things, and here he is today. So I'm really excited to have him as well.
You already touched on the 2 bigs, Mboya Coca and Charles Lampton, 7'1", 6'11". They definitely bring you some height that you hadn't had since you've been with the Fire. But they are still, in terms of a basketball sense, they're young and they're still raw players.
They're young. They're figuring it out. We're going to have some talks about defending in the post and defensive 3 seconds and how to block shots and rotate without fouling, things like that. But you could see it today. They were a little excited and nervous, but yet more excited. And they were ready to go. I mean, Coca was the first one in the gym today at 7 o'clock in the morning. So, and usually that's Chuck, but it was Coca today.
It's a good start.
That's a fantastic start. But, they were just soaking in everything. And I think they're really hungry. I think they really want to learn. I think they want to be better. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to get that done. But I think they both showed they have a really, really high ceiling.
Being the 2-time defending champions, riding a 30-game win streak going back to the 2023 season, every time you step out on the court, you're going to have a target on your back. You're going to get every team's best effort. How do you convey that to your players so they, so they're dialed in every single night?
Well, we told them last night it's a privilege to have the expectations on you that this team will have. You know, whether we really believe that, you know, this is who we are or what other people think we are. But it's a privilege to have an asterisk next to your name on a schedule, because that means that somebody respects you enough to think, hey, that's a pretty big game for ourselves. And we have to understand that we got to do our part, that this is a completely different team. Yes, we have 7 returners, but the team has to mesh together and fit together and do all the right things to be successful. We had never talked about defending a championship last year because we felt, you know, teams that try to go out and defend something tend to fail. But if you go out and just compete to try to compete for another championship as a different team, we can focus on those things and get those things done. In the game of basketball, how many firsts are there really left?
Right.
You know, everybody's done something. Last year, that was kind of we have an opportunity to do something no one's ever done, be the first to win a second. We weren't even, you know, it happens to be a back-to-back, but we were just talking about it in general. Nobody's won 2 in a row or won 2 in the TBL. So we had that opportunity. Now this year we have that same thing. And for us, it's about attention to detail. There are no shortcuts. We have to continue to be us and continue to do the things that we do every day. We've got great internal leadership. We've got leadership all around. You know, mentioned, we were talking briefly that there's a lot, you know, everybody wants to talk about things. You won't ever hear us say anything about three-peat or defending anything like last year. We take everything step by step. We're on that step until it's time to take the next step. We don't step back. We don't step forward till we're done with that step. Win or lose, you know. But what we talked about today was being the eye of the hurricane. And the eye of a hurricane is the calmest spot.
Right.
Well, standing in this floor this morning, that's the calmest spot. We are who we are to do what we do.
Okay.
So don't worry about all the swirling around, the talk, what other teams are doing, what they're saying, the fans, everybody else. It's about what we're doing right here. So let's just stay in the calm, the eye of the hurricane, and we'll be okay.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it and look forward to doing this every week this season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That will do it for this edition of the Coach's Corner. Again, you can catch the Coach's Corner every Wednesday evening here on the Potawatomi Fire Broadcast Network. You can find it on the Fire Facebook page and YouTube channel, as well as on KGFF Radio. Don't forget about the Meet the Fire Fish Fry coming up next Friday. That's, I believe, is the 28th, February 28th. You can purchase tickets by calling the Fire Lake Arena box office or by just purchasing tickets at the door for the fish fry. And then the season will actually get started on Sunday, March 2nd. The Fire will be on the road at Little Rock, and then they will play their home opener March 8th against the Western Oklahoma Sky Kings. And again, season tickets and single game tickets are available online and by calling the Fire Lake Arena box office. So that will do it for us today. Thanks again for tuning in to the Potawatomi Fire Broadcast Network. For General Manager David Qualls, Fire Head Coach Mark Dannhoff, I'm Chris Cox, and I'll talk to you next time right here on the Potawatomi Fire Broadcast Network.